Yeah, hey, drop.
Prime Coverage Sports Network. Real coverage, real conversation. All right, welcome to the Lockdown Coverage Podcast for the Prime Coverage Sports Network. My name is Jim Weglars, a.k.a. Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on X and on Instagram. Sean?
And I'm Sean Davidge. Find me on Facebook at Sean.Davidge or Twitter/X at Sean Davidge. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Don't forget to follow us at PCSN Media on X. You got Prime Coverage Sports Network on Facebook and Instagram. I'm doing good, man. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm not sure if you celebrate these things, but I was more celebratory on Saturday when they dyed the river here in Chicago.
Yeah. I've got some Irish descent, but I didn't really do anything special with it today. Didn't even wear anything green.
Yeah, I just had some corned beef and cabbage just a bit ago. That's my one celebration, get a little bit in. We're missing Zel, and then it looks like Tip's going to be out for some time with his baseball duties. So we'll just soldier on without him. And there's a ton of news that we got to dig into this week, Sean. So let's just jump right into it. Let's do the big news that happened today. Wide receiver Jaylen Waddle was traded from Miami to Denver. The Finns, they get Denver's first round pick, which is the 30th pick, and then also the third and fourth round pick, which is also the 30th in those rounds. The Broncos, they actually get a Miami fourth back as well, which is the 11th pick in the fourth round, in addition to Waddle. So you were talking just before we hit the pod here. I mean, where does this leave the Finns? I mean, who are they going to throw to this year?
Who do they have on their team, let alone who are they going to throw to? I don't really think they have. I don't know who they have on their team anymore as far as receiving goes. You name, well, obviously Tua's not there anymore, but you name.
Cheetah's gone.
Oh, you have Achane in your backfield. Who else do they have?
Yeah, it's pretty much Achane. I think what they're doing personally is they're hitting the reset button. They they fired their GM last season, mid-season. So I'm sure that guy's like, hey, I don't want to carry all these dead money contracts. He offloaded Tua, or he's going to actually dead cap against the cap Tua. You're getting rid of Waddle's contract. Cheetah's gone. So I expect him to take a couple receivers in the draft and just hope for the best. I mean, you got Malik Willis in town. You're probably going to run the ball a lot. You're going to run with Achane, maybe run a little read option with Willis, and then hopefully they pick up some targets. But I don't know, man. It's certainly a restart. If you're a Dolphins fan, you can't be too excited.
No, you can't. For them, the future starts now. And with Willis, being in someplace new now, maybe it's good anyway that, Achane's there to take a little bit of the load off of him. But it's clear the future starts now. So they need to target receivers in the draft, and they need to – well, they're not going to be competitive for a few years now. So the future starts now. This is just going to be valuable experience for a young and now depleted team that's just bombarded with dead money contracts.
That's right. So in addition to this, what do you think it impacts for Denver? I mean, do you think that Cortland Sutton, he was kind of crying for a trade in the offseason. It didn't happen. So I don't know. Do you think that he just sticks and gets happy? He's got another target on the other side, so it can be a balanced approach on both sides of the field?
Yeah, I mean, maybe this doesn't put so much pressure on Sutton now. Denver didn't have the greatest offense last year, but they have a great offensive-minded coach, and obviously we know what Waddle's capable of when he's in form. So I think this is a good trade on both ends. Denver gets a valuable receiver for Bo Nix, who's still young in this league. So I like the trade. They did give up a little much, but Miami like he already talked about with Miami, the future's now. So they're stockpiling on draft picks, and Waddle and getting another pick back for them. Good trade, I think, on both ends.
Yeah, I agree. It's the reset button. They're picking up, 3 picks in this draft, and they're going to just start over. And they also got rid of, obviously, we talked about Bradley Chubb originally. We'll talk about where he goes in a minute. I mean, if you look at it, I was wondering if Denver was going to restructure his contract. I mean, they owe him $17.2 million this year. This is Waddle's contract, and then $24 million for the next 2 years. Maybe they restructure that, especially in the out years, to see how he performs this year. But actually, it's kind of a cheap contract for a receiver in this just current market. And he actually is still a pretty young guy, so he can definitely contribute for Denver. And I mean, obviously, they're on the precipice. They were right there in the AFC Championship game.
Yep. They won't restructure just yet. I think they will eventually, especially if one or both guys want another deal down the road. But for now, I think they're fine as is. Now it's just Waddle's your new playmaker. Now you get a new offense acclimated.
That's right. That's right. So besides the fan bases being like a little shocked, we were a little shocked about this today. Seems like we're going to say this was a good trade for all parties. Denver gets a little better. Miami gets to restart and start anew, right?
It's one of those trades where you just there's just no loser here. It's one of those trades where I just can't find anything wrong with it. Pretty rare in this league, but Miami gets what they needed, Denver gets what they needed. So I like this trade. I think it's a good
win-win. That's a win-win.
A win-win.
Let's talk about one that you posted originally over the weekend. We had speculated last week about Kyler Murray, getting cut by Arizona and all. So now he goes to Minnesota. They get a sweetheart situation. 1 year, $1.3 million on their books. He's still going to get paid his 36.8 million total, most of it by Arizona. Refresh for the listeners what exactly your take was on this trade or on this move.
Yeah, well, folks, if you didn't see my live video last week, I made a short video on my thoughts on the deal. I mean, first off, the guy is a former first-round pick. The talent's still there, and he's still young. He was brought in to either bring out the best of McCarthy, either make him the starter, or Murray will be the starter if he beats him out for the job. And even if Murray doesn't win the job right away, he's still up sitting on the bench making a ton of money. So
yes, exactly.
It's a win-win for him. It's a win-win for the organization, and hopefully McCarthy takes it the way he needs to. Maybe this will inspire him to be better, but he's heading toward dangerous bust territory right now. But as it is, like you just said, Arizona's paying him most of his money this year, so it was a no-brainer for the Vikings to sign him for the league minimum like they did. And win-win for Murray, win-win for the team. Now it's just a matter of whether he earns the starting job or not. And even if he doesn't, he's right there waiting in the wings if McCarthy either gets hurt or screws up or, the other way around. McCarthy learns under the guy.
Well, my thing is this a sign that they're done with McCarthy already? Or do you think that he's going to legitimately compete for this job?
I do think he's going to legitimately compete for the job. To give up this soon on a first-round draft pick barely 2 years ago, I mean, they kind of admitted failure when they dismissed their GM Queasy when they did, but
right.
To admit defeat this soon, I think is a stretch. So they're going to give him one more chance, which I think he deserves. McCarthy showed some signs last year, which I talked about previously, but he didn't show enough to show the organization or his teammates that he's capable of leading the franchise in the long run. That's just one of the reasons why they brought on Murray, and hopefully for his sake, it brings out the best in him. But if not, he'll take another year to learn from Murray or maybe even move on.
I mean, you're in the market, so I'm going to speak for you guys, and you can retort if it's not true. To me, it's a fan base move. I mean, you got to kind of they were in the playoffs 2 years ago. They thought they're going to have a smooth landing with JJ. They did finish the season on a pretty good clip. I mean, they won a lot of games to finish the season, even though we're eliminated. So to me, it's like, hey, let's keep Justin Jefferson happy. Let's make sure everybody's happy in that offense. And then you've got this guy. The issue to me is I'm not sure if Murray is really done or not. I mean, if he's obviously the number one pick at one time, incredible player at his peak. But now under KOC, you would think that he's going to be his best because he's a quarterback whisperer. He's made people better. But obviously, if Murray's heart's not in it and he can't stay healthy because obviously being undersized and he runs around a lot, that's the big question mark. I mean, it's no risk for them given the deal. But to me, I don't know. They're competing in a tough division. They got to get it right quick. Otherwise, they're going to have no quarterback in another year or so because they're going to cut this guy again or they're going to have to find a new one for JJ.
Well, and that's why. I mean, it was a no-brainer signing him. It was tough seeing McCarthy regress at points last year. But again, when he became available, someone whose talent is still there. he has the most talent he's probably ever had since coming into the league around him right now. So it'll be interesting to see what KOC can do. He's a good fit in this offense. You got a good backfield, not a great backfield, an outstanding receiving core, a good tight end. The offensive line still needs a little bit of work because otherwise he's going to be running for his life. But that's one thing he can do is run. So
yeah,
the pieces are there. It's just a matter of what he's going to do with it and, whether he wins the job or not.
And do you think that the fan base is excited about this move, or are they just kind of like, eh?
In general, I thought the feedback was overall positive. This team's been starving for a franchise quarterback for a long time now, basically since Dante Culpepper was here. So they really haven't had any real stability there since then. I mean, you could argue for Kirk Cousins' sake, but he was here only 6-7 years. Not too many people define a franchise quarterback as something longer than that. But that's one of the key pieces that this franchise has been missing for a long time. And so that's why you can understand why the patience is so thin for this fan base up here. So they want to see us win, and they want to see us win now. They got the talent there in a lot of places, but quarterback is not one of them. So it remains to be seen what Murray does. But if he does well enough to learn the job, and if not, he's right there waiting in the wings and making the money he wants.
Yeah, I mean, as a divisional rival of yours, I'm fine with the move because I think Murray is just okay. I think he's going to have trouble when he goes on the road in Green Bay and when he goes to Chicago in the elements. I don't think he's that kind of quarterback. He'd be fine in the dome in Minnesota and obviously in Detroit.
That's true.
So, right now it's arguable he's still probably the fourth best quarterback in the division, even with Goff probably going downhill slowly in his career. So we'll see. I mean, it's certainly worth the effort or worth the money they're paying. But at some point, hopefully he restores back to his number one status, first pick status, and then he'll be good for your franchise. But as a Bears fan, I'm not sad about this. I'm fine. Let JJ falter a little bit and then let them figure it out and then give us another year in Chicago because we didn't have a franchise quarterback basically my entire life until Caleb Williams. So
you were never a fan of Jay Cutler, were you?
Well, I like Jay Cutler. I think that Cutler, I didn't like his stank face and his smoking Jay faced, but in terms of when we look at, look, Denzel, thanks for chiming in, buddy. I agree. It's his last stop, his last chance. The thing about Cutler, he had all the skills. He just didn't have those intangibles, getting his teammates riled up. He was always so, I don't know what he was on the sideline. He just had that face. I think he got a bad rap about leaving that NFC Championship game. I think he actually was injured, but
so do I.
He just didn't live up to the promise. It was a good move by the Bears to try it, and in the end, he didn't really get the wins that we needed. He got sacked a lot the first couple of years.
He did not have a very good offensive line early on. I remember
he was getting pounded, but they had a couple teams that could win. So, but I think Williams being at his age and the ascent, it's hard to argue. I think Williams has bigger.
Speaking from a rival's perspective, I thought he developed really well this year, considering it was a good but not great first year, and he took a big step forward second year. Division champ, just short of the NFC Championship. So there's good things to come, I think, with the Bears.
I'll show Zel's comment. There we go. Kyler's last stop. I think that's
it could be.
Well, it might be, unless he goes to baseball. He's still got baseball, right?
That's true. There's a lot of people who wish he went back to baseball.
That's right. All right, let's talk about the other move at quarterback in the news this week. Justin Fields, former Bears guy, from the Jets, gets traded to Kansas City for a 6th-round pick. Hey, what do you know? It's 2027 6th-round pick. So the Jets, they're going to pay $7 million of his $10 million guaranteed. He's owed $20 million, but there's no guarantee he's going to get all that money of the other $10 million. So I guess the question I have for you first is Justin Fields. We never talked about him on that. What is your take on Fields in general?
Well, isn't this for starters, isn't this now his 4th team in 5 years since coming into the league?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't found a steady home. And to me, that means maybe he's not starter material in this league, or at least yet. But KC's a good place, to be an understudy when you got Patrick Mahomes there. And I figure Mahomes is not going to be ready for the start of the regular season. So he's going to be learning the he's coming into a good situation. He has a good coach in Andy Reid who runs a good offense. The first team reps and training camp and everything will help him out because he's going to be the one leading the team until Mahomes comes back if he does. So that'll help him in his development. And then, once Mahomes does come back, you have a good backup waiting in the wings. And maybe that's what he's going to be in this league. I'm not sure I see him starting again after he's been a journeyman for this long, during his short time in the league, basically since he came into the league.
Yeah, as a first-round pick, but not in the top 5, that's always a red flag, I suppose. I mean, he's in that kind of Daniel Jones category where you're kind of in the teens or the double-digit picks. Look, I was always a fan of Fields. I think he kind of got a raw deal in Chicago, a lot of different offensive coordinators, and then he's bouncing around. You're right. He hasn't shown he's elite. He hasn't shown he's a team leader. However, when he's been able to get an offense crafted for himself, like in Pittsburgh, he played pretty good a couple seasons ago. I mean, the first 4 or 5 games he played well. They went to Russell, and Russell, looked good for like 2 weeks, and then he kind of stunk down the stretch. With the Jets are just a doomed franchise. That Woody, what is his name? Woody, his name's Woody, whatever his name, the owner of the Jets.
Johnson.
Woody Johnson. You guys sell that team. That team's garbage. I mean, I could talk about the Jets for hours. I mean, I think that their coach, Aaron Glenn, is garbage too. So I'm not surprised he failed there. Certainly their offensive coordination was garbage with him last year. He had a great first game and they couldn't come back with a counterpunch. So with Andy Reid, he's going to be his best. Now, if he fails with Reid in the first couple starts, not unlike Kyler, it could be his last stop. But I think Fields can get better. I just don't know if he reads the field very well. He's more of a half-field read quarterback. He gets under center, reads, first read, second read, then he runs. That's kind of what he does. Now, he's an elite runner. I mean, the dude has got incredible, rushing skills. I love seeing him run, which is totally different than Patrick Mahomes. So it's just one of those things. If Mahomes goes down in the playoffs or something, do you want to bring in Justin Fields? Probably not, but it's better than the old days when they had Todd Collins or whoever they held, Chase Daniel or whoever the hell they had backing him up. So in the end, he's still a young guy. It's a cheap tag. It's a cheap price. I was reading that they could have gotten other guys out in the market, including Brissett and stuff like that. And that's true. However, I think taking a chance on a young guy that could be a weapon that, honestly, if Mahomes comes back, they could do some things with him, maybe a la Taysom Hill, So I think it's a good move for them.
I agree. I was thinking along the lines of, what Taysom Hill had done for the Saints during his time there. Mm-hmm. Maybe Fields could be that guy. He'd have to learn a few things, but
sure.
While Mahomes is hurt, he's going to take the opportunity to, teach Fields some things that he may not know because he's going to have reins of the offense for at least a little while, maybe up to half the season. So, if they want to be competitive this year, they need him to play his best. So those reps he'll get, like I mentioned before, that'll be valuable, and not only for the Chiefs this year, but for his personal development. And maybe he'll be a viable backup option, and maybe even a versatile player in the offense that comes out for an occasional run or tight end spot. Yeah,
you've got one of the most creative offensive minds in the NFL history with Andy Reid.
Yep.
He'll figure out a way to use them at some point, and why not? Because they talk in a minute. They obviously re-signed Kelsey and stuff, but they need to try to get some things going on that team. And obviously with the running back, I actually think with the first game or so, you've got Kenneth Walker there. That's going to be a read option team for the first couple of weeks if Mahomes doesn't get back in time. So that's a pretty nice 1-2 dynamic duo. And then you get the ball out to the young receivers. That might not be a bad offense right out of the gate.
Yeah, but it's like you said, he does have to read the field a little bit better. Maybe that could be a sign of him not being very comfortable in the pocket because he's a guy who runs so much.
Right. Yeah, that's what teams do. In the end, they just bracket him, and then he's got to make a decision, and he kind of looks around, and then he just runs into traffic. That's why they kept,
Yeah, but that's why you have a guy like Andy Reid now coaching. Maybe he'll figure that out because he's a great offensive mind, as he's shown.
That's right. One of the other trades that's more under the radar, you got defensive tackle Osa Idiwuziwa. Sorry about that pronunciation. So the Cowboys get a third-round pick for him in the 2026 draft. And then San Francisco, they're going to pay his $16.75 million salary in 2026. But he's guaranteed he's guaranteed more money in the future, $20.5 million in the next 2 years. So this, San Francisco's starting to make some moves. They're starting to make some moves to try to stay on top. I like this one. Solid defensive tackle. I thought their pass rush was so bad last year. That's why they couldn't win in big games. So you get a guy who could fortify the front and also get after the quarterback a little bit. I really like the move for San Francisco. And Cowboys, get another pick, which is still good. I was just surprised Jerry actually made a decent trade for once. This seems to be good on both sides as well.
I agree. And that used to be the strength for San Francisco, meeting you in the trenches so much. That was part of their success 5-6 years ago when they were, one of the dominant teams in the NFC. But then the injury bug really happened for them. So,
right.
Like you said with the trade for Dallas, they're continuing to hit the reset button on defense, while San Francisco adds a good piece, to up their game in the trenches, which, like I said, was once a part of their dominant game.
It just clues to me that Dallas is going to go heavy on defense this year, which they probably should. They had a pretty good offense, their defense, in the draft. So they'll just have to replace a guy like that and just pay at a cheaper salary. It makes sense. It's, recycling into the system, which makes sense.
But let's see if Jerry Jones actually does it. He's more known to beef up an offense first, as we've seen.
I still can't believe he didn't propose a trade for Max Crosby yet. I really was surprised that he didn't give up all his draft capital to try to get Max. So still, hey, the offseason's not over yet. So
no, it's not. But we're not Jerry Jones. We're not not working in the front office for a reason. What do we know?
Well, yeah, right.
But I also think we're a little smarter than that man can be.
He definitely picks his guys when he finds his guys. So let's talk about some of these other free agent moves that happened in the last 10 days or so. We've got, you mentioned A'Shawn Robinson. We talked about him getting released last week, but he actually signed with Tampa. Pretty favorable contract, 1 year, $10 million deal, just kind of a prove-it deal for Tampa. They need to revamp that defense. They've gotten a little bit older. A'Shawn's, not exactly young, but what do you think about that signing?
It's another boost to their trench game. I think they want to pair him up with Vita Vea on the right side, so that'll be tough to run against, let alone protect against on the blind side. So I think that's where Tampa wants him right now. I can see him, being more of a flexible option on either side, but yeah, right now that's where they want him.
Yeah, and then some of the bigger name signings, Bradley Chubb, we mentioned, was cut by the Finns, but he signed with Buffalo, 3 years, $43.5 million. It seems like every year they try to sign one of these guys. They had the Von Miller, they had Joey Bosa, now they've got Bradley Chubb. So is this the one that's going to stick, or do you think that Chubb is another bad signing by the Bills?
Well, the commitment they made to him certainly speaks volume.
Yeah,
and it's at the linebacker position again. So obviously they want to say they've learned their lesson, and they made quite a commitment to this guy. That's over $14 million a year for those 3 years. Good young player.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously flashed when he was with the Broncos back in the day, and it seemed like the signing when he went to the Dolphins was a good idea. He just kind of underperformed, as did that whole defense. So new regime there besides the offensive coordinator. I mean, obviously Joe Brady's still there, but they got a new defensive coordinator situation. And that's the biggest thing with the Bills. You've got to address the damn defense. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You've got to be better. Hopefully Chubb can make it happen. I don't know if I love it. I think they still got to draft guys on that defense, but it's certainly, like you said, a big commitment.
Well, and all the points they gave up in the postseason, so that was a big question mark. So hopefully they take that to heart when the draft comes.
That's right. I saw Jonathan Allen got signed by the Bengals, 2 years, $26 million. When I saw the grade on ESPN, they graded this like a D. So Jonathan Allen was on your team last year for the Vikings. It seemed like it did not work out. And the other guy was also on the Vikings for you. We can talk about him in a minute. So first of all, what was your assessment of Jonathan Allen's play this year for your team? And then do you think this is a decent signing for the Bengals or just wasted money?
I think it's a good, not great signing. He was cut primarily because of salary. And and I think the Vikings want to start over in the trenches too.
Right.
Like I said, good, not great signing. And Cincinnati has nowhere to go but up on defense, especially after losing Henderson. So I think it's a good, solid signing. I don't know if it'll blow anybody away. Certainly didn't blow away who you just mentioned. If that's a D grade, I would have given it maybe a B- at worst because he's a good player, as is Hargrave.
Yeah, he was great. Like 4 years ago, he was awesome, right? It just, obviously getting a little older, injuries. That whole defensive line was incredible when they first drafted it, and then it just kind of got split apart. So Hargraves, also Javon Hargraves, goes to the Packers for 2 years, almost the same number, $23 million. You saw him as well in Minnesota, so it looks like you said they're restarting. We'll talk about what do you think they're going to backfill with, but he's staying in division. He knows the division. Packers obviously had a pretty good defense last year, but can use the help up front. What do you think about this signing?
Well, I'll tell you this. They signed him in a hurry. He was signed within mere hours after the Vikings cut him. So obviously they liked the guy enough to sign him as quickly as they did. He was another one of those good, not great players. But, the fact that the Packers liked him a lot and they need to show up on their defense, they moved in rather quickly. So this may be a guy they were even targeting.
To me, the Packers last year, the only thing they couldn't do was stop the run. So it's smart if they put two guys that can help them with that. I don't know. The money seems reasonable for that position, so makes sense for the Packers.
Yeah. I knew that was going to be a weakness in their game, though, when they traded away all they did to acquire Parsons. So I knew that was going to be a weak point in the Packers game. They seem to be shoring it up now, though, with this signing.
Right. Now, what do you think the Vikings are going to do to backfill? They've just lost two starters essentially on defense in the trenches. So is this going to be in the draft? Or did they sign somebody that I missed?
I'm not sure who they signed if they have. I think they need at least one veteran because having a young pass rush is not going to be good in this league. It's just too deep. It's just too depe a league, and considering the division they're in, I think they need at least one veteran up front. So they have some cap space. I would think they'd make at least one move. Not sure who it would be yet.
Yeah, there's not a ton of guys walking around at this point.
No, there's not. That's another thing.
We'll see. I think they'll draft heavy there over and over again just to try to hit it. Because look, the Vikes have a good offense. We know that. Yep. Even though we talked about the quarterback situation, you just got to get somebody to get the ball out. But the defense was just couldn't come up with the big stops. Cam Jordan's still on I know he's a pass rusher. He's 36, but he's still out on the streets. He's going to end up signing for somebody for cheap, probably just to try to chase a ring. But I don't think he's going to end up in Minnesota.
I know. His dad might have played here, but I doubt he'll follow in his dad's footsteps.
Mm-hmm. This is I don't know if this is exciting signing, but we can go over the quarterbacks now. Gardner Minshew Magic going to Arizona, baby. So I don't know if he's going to be their starter. I guess he might, or maybe it's Jim Brissett. I'm not sure what's happening down in the Cardinals. That's a team that right now, if you look at the expected win total, it's the lowest in the NFL, around 4, 3.5 to 4. So, hey, I love the stash. I love Minshew, but I don't think he's an answer to anybody's quarterback problems.
He was there for the signing. They scooped him up. I highly doubt he'll be the guy unless they really strike out in free agency. They should probably target a guy like Kirk Cousins, to tell you the truth, because
we thought that's what they do. Yeah.
Yeah. Pro Football Talk published an article about that a week ago, and the more I looked at it, the more sense it made. Hardly any openings left in the league now. Kirk Cousins still has a little bit in the tank, so they have another guy off the Rams coaching tree there. So you hope he'll have success, and to me, that's where it makes sense, unless Kirk's decided he has had enough.
Well, the thing is, I think it's still the last domino is Rodgers. We don't have Kenny Casanova to tell us what's happening with the Rodgers situation. I don't know if he's smoking ayahuasca somewhere right now and deciding if he's going to play football again, which drives me nuts. If I was a Packer fan or a Steelers fan or even a Jets fan, I would have been livid about this guy. I hate the guy anyway, not just because I'm a Bears fan. I just think he's so pompous, but you're holding up the show here, dude. If you're out, you're out. Then Kirk can sign there. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I think that seems to be the last domino falling. And Kirk is probably just waiting, and he's got plenty of money to just sit on the sidelines until he needs to pick a spot.
Aaron Rodgers, he was a little bit more grounded when he first took over for Brett Favre all those years ago.
Oh yeah.
The more time he spent in the league, the more of a prima donna he became. Vikings fans didn't like him at all when he was, in Green Bay, and not just because he beat us a lot, but just because of his attitude. He would talk about going into darkness retreats or whatever he does. That just sounds so odd.
Yeah, he's a different dude. I mean,
he's a piece of work, even if he is the highest rated.
Has anybody seen his wife yet? I heard she's kind of a mystery woman too, because he did get married supposedly, but I'll believe it when I see it.
And then those comments saying, "Oh, I want to look youthful going forward. Now it's going to be all I have."
He's a weird dude, man. He is weird.
I respect his talent, but yes,
obviously going to be a Hall of Fame guy. I'm not going to deny his Hall of Fame status. It's just, trust me, I cannot be happier that he's only won Super Bowl as a Bears fan. And it's brutal to watch sometimes. And then, and for God's sake, do a calf raise, dude. He's got those skinny little calves. There is a weight room. You can do some calf raises. You don't get, not just doing whatever he's doing. I don't know what he's doing to stay in shape. So
now he's biding his time just to, I don't know what, maybe he's already decided. Maybe he likes keeping people waiting. I can't stand when quarterbacks do that.
Yeah.
Especially him, because he's done it more than once.
It's a prima donna for sure.
Oh yeah. And he's been one. He is one.
Yeah. Some other minor signings, I'll stay on offense first. Hollywood Brown is going to the Eagles, okay. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's just another weapon. Right now, AJ Brown, like, what's the deal with him? Is he getting traded? Is he not getting traded?
Yeah, that's why the signing interested me in the first place. Like, maybe they have something in mind with Brown, whether they're going to feature more in the offense this year or maybe he'll move on. But, the Hollywood Brown thing, Eagles were a little bit lackluster in the passing game last year, so maybe they just wanted another weapon. We'll see.
Yeah, he's played well at certain stops, but he's not going to move the needle on your offense, right? So he's just kind of a tertiary receiver. You've got, get a couple deep balls here and there, stretch the defense. But I'd like to see that AJ Brown situation resolve itself 100% and move on.
Maybe they brought Brown in to try to open things up a little bit, because the Eagles' offense was certainly more pedestrian last year, more simple, a little easier to anticipate.
That's right. Let's talk about offensive line. Rasheed Walker was signed by Carolina. This was deemed a good signing by ESPN. 1 year, $10 million deal. Shores up the line. Seems like a good move. Again, cheap cost. It's only a 1 year prove-it deal for Walker. Carolina, look, the NFC South is still wide open. We know that anybody can win it. Obviously, Carolina is going to have to compete with a little bit more with Atlanta, maybe now with Tua, possibly. The Bucs are still kind of on that team. I think any of these four teams could win this division, but I do like that Carolina's trying to shore up that offensive line, because sometimes, even though they ran the ball well, you got to keep Young upright.
They do, and he took some big steps, especially late last year when they made their push for and won the NFC South title, despite being under 500. Real pathetic division.
Yeah.
And I think it goes more to how disappointing Tampa Bay was. But anyway,
of course,
the point is they still won the division, and they gave the Rams a good fight in the playoffs last year. So that was one of those games where you're actually encouraged despite a tough defeat, because that was a game they still very easily could have won. And so this was maybe one of a few moves they'll end up making, because Bryce Young's shown some stuff and a little more weapons around him. Maybe Carolina will be the team to be, which is unfortunately not saying a lot in a bad division, but maybe they want to be the front runner. Maybe they can be.
Carolina was just great at home last year. They were really good. They beat some teams. They shocked the world a couple of times there. And they did go on the road and beat Green Bay, which was kind of a shock to me. But yeah, the team won some big games. I think the coach is pretty good. I think he can coach. And Dave Canales, I just think that you're going to have more competition this year. At least you would hope. I would think Atlanta would be better. Yeah. Everybody wants Atlanta. It's like, stop trying to make Atlanta happen, right? Atlanta, the Falcons, they're going to win this division again. I've had people bet on that division for Atlanta. I did it 2 years ago. I thought for sure it was the year. Nope, didn't happen. So they've definitely got the skilled positions, but I think the coaching matters we'll see. Stefanski can definitely upgrade that division or upgrade the Falcons in that division. And then Bowles, I still surprised they didn't let him go. But we'll see what happens. I mean, again, I think it's a toss-up. The Saints played great down the stretch too. I mean, if it, in my mind, even though Carolina won the division, the Saints would have been just as frisky as the Carolina in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
They were playing great.
And maybe we're also writing the Bucs off a little too soon. They lost their best receiver by far this offseason, but they still have some talented pieces. They got a good backfield. They have a redeemed Mayfield, who I think finally found his permanent home in the league. It's going to take a lot to replace a future Hall of Famer like Evans, but I still expect the Bucs to be competitive. But they got to stay healthy, and they got to simply play better in division games. Division games were not good last year for Tampa. That was a big part of their downfall.
No, yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Did Rachaad White? He went to the Commanders. I forgot to write that down. So the Bucs, you mentioned that they lost Evans, but they also lost Rachaad White, one of the backup, kind of second running back for that team. Goes to the Commanders. Let's talk about that pick more for the Commanders. Do you feel that that's a missing piece that they had last year? I mean, they did have some guys, some journeyman guys that came in and played pretty well. Obviously, Daniels barely played last year. With him back in the fold, do you think that's a good signing for the Commanders?
They need something to take some pressure off Daniels for sure. They definitely went through a sophomore slump last year. It was pretty easy to see. That injury that Daniels had, he actually almost came back from it. So he's a tough kid. They got Terry McLaurin locked up for the long run. Yeah. I don't know who they have a tight end now. I think, is it still Ertz, or is he gone now?
I can't imagine he'd stick around, but maybe he is. But they got to get a little younger at that position.
Yep, they got better at running back, which I think they needed to do. But it's still Philly's division to lose, as we talked about previously. So we'll see what this does. But I do think it was a good signing.
Yeah, me too. Okay, let's talk about the Bears a little bit. I don't know if we went over all this last week, but they basically lost like half their secondary in this offseason. So they did sign Kobe Bryant for 3 years, $40 million from Seattle. Solid player for Seattle. Zell's probably listening at work. I'm curious to see what he thinks about it, because they've lost a couple players now. They lost Reek Woolen, and now they've lost this guy. But I'm happy the Bears got him. He's more of a deep safety. They had lost Byard, the week before to the Patriots, and of course they lost some other guys. So I don't know, big commitment here. So he must be a solid player. The Bears are looking for the future. What do you think about this signing?
Like you said, a good player in the secondary, but we need to see them make a few more splashes. That's just one signing. Yeah. We saw that Wright's gone now. Why he went to the Jets, who knows?
Money. Money.
Well, and maybe he's alluding himself that the Jets are an up-and-coming franchise. Nothing that's proven to me. But
that's true, yeah.
They also lost Jonathan Owens. He just signed with a team just a few days ago, so he's no longer there. So they're minus a few noticeable pieces. I don't know if I can say key pieces, but noticeable ones. Nashawn was probably a key piece. Owens, he was here and there.
Yeah, it just indicates to me that it's going to be almost an all defensive draft, which is tough because I don't know if it's the best defensive draft ever. It's definitely bad at quarterback on offense, but got a lot of receivers in this draft. You usually have a good group of corners in this draft for sure, but to replace like 4 starters on defense, even though they weren't a great defense, I'll be the first to admit the Bears defense was a problem. So maybe they're just trying to make better fits with this, with Dennis Allen's system, a blitzing system, and they got to have more lockdown corners and safeties that can.
And bad defense won't sit with a Chicago fan base at any time. Knowing their history and how they've done most of their damage in the league, mostly due to famous defenses. But at the same time, probably refreshing that they have a threatening offense for a change. So, yeah, that's right. But yeah, they do got to shore up on defense in the draft and in free agency. So we'll see who they target. They do need some corner help. They
do. Okay, well, let's talk about tight end. Isaiah Likely goes to the Giants. I guess that's not a surprise. Harbaugh probably loved him. He made some big plays for the Ravens for him for many years. So now he goes to the Giants. I mean, the Giants are getting kind of intriguing to me. You've got
They are.
Dart there. You've got other players that can step up there. I'm assuming you're going to get the quarter or the wide receiver back that got hurt last year. So I don't know if Scadabau is going to come back. That injury was pretty rough, but he's a great piece and he should be a number one tight end. The guy he usually got more yards than Andrews, and he definitely was bigger in the red zone than Andrews ever was. The guy always scored touchdowns. So what do you think about Isaiah Likely?
Well, because Harbaugh's there, he would bring in Likely for a reason. Knowing the guy and knowing what his fit is in an offense and, how they utilize him. And he's also you need trusty targets when you have a young quarterback like the Giants do. So I like the signing a lot. I think it was Neighbors who got hurt. He'll be back.
Yeah, Neighbors.
And then I think it's Tyrone Tracy who leads their backfield right now. It's a decent backfield.
Yeah.
Are the Giants ready to push for the division supremacy? Probably not yet because it's a younger team. But I think they're assembling some good key pieces, and they hired the best coach available this offseason. So it may not be long, and at least there's one team in New York that's starting to gain some respect.
Yeah, that's true. Well, their defense was underrated. They had a good defensive line. The back end was pretty bad, but their defensive line is pretty menacing for the Giants. So I expect them to play a different brand of football with Harbaugh. They're probably going to run the ball a little more, smash it into, try to shorten the game. Sure, they're not going to be able to pass up and down with Dallas, but they can maybe smash, Washington in the mouth once in a while. And eventually, of course, they'll lose to Philadelphia because they're just a better team. But I mean, they play that team tough. They always play those guys tough, even when they're not even good. So I think they'll be decent in the division for sure.
Yeah, it'll take a little while, but they got the pieces that they need, especially a coach. Best hire, I think, is Tom Coughlin.
Yeah, for sure. And then Kelsey, he's back. We're going to get one more year of Taylor Swift in the booth for the ratings. He gets a 1 year, $12 million contract. I guess that indicates, he's going to try to do one more run with this team. And the reload with the skill positions maybe is indicative of that. I guess it's not surprising, but are you surprised he didn't just retire?
I'm kind of split on the choice because, with Patrick Mahomes getting hurt, I thought maybe that would have affected the decision somewhat, but he must believe that Mahomes will come back this year. And, from my perspective, what does he have left to accomplish? He's already solidified himself as a top 10 tight end in this league's history. And I think he's won 3 Super Bowls now. So, maybe he wants to prove he's more worthy in his fiance's eyes. But, eventually he has to realize that he has that fiance, arguably the most popular singer in the world. And, eventually she may have a say in what Kelsey does in his future. So we'll see if this is his last year. I don't see the Chiefs winning another Super Bowl purely because of Mahomes, missing at least half of it. Mm-hmm. But maybe they'll be competitive. They've already proven they're one of the best in the league, even in down years. I don't expect them to have another losing season.
It's a tough division. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Chargers are pretty good. We'll see what happens there. You've got Denver improving. I think that, although we didn't really talk about Bo Nix, I mean, I'm not really sold that Nix is a great quarterback. I mean, there's a lot of statistics against him, even though they did win games. He's kind of one of those guys. He's almost like a Brett Favre kind of guy who's got moxie, but with less arm strength. And so, but they still are probably on top of the division, even the Chargers. The Chargers are 1-1A. And then you got the Chiefs to see if they can rebound. The Raiders, I think it's going to take a minute, even though they signed a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's just tough. I mean, I guess globally, if you look across what you've seen so far in the free agency, who is impressing you? Who is like getting the signings that kind of will make a bigger difference for their team so far?
Well, one more note on the Kelsey thing first. He must believe in their chances this year. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have come back because of how old he is. But
right.
Free agency, boy, it's hard to pick a real standout. I think free agency's gone well for just about everybody involved. Raiders are stockpiling on draft picks. The Crosby trade backfiring in their face, as we found out at the outset of our episode last week. Actually, maybe the best thing for him, because now Crosby reaffirmed his commitment to staying there. Um, we mentioned Baltimore getting Hendrickson. I'm not sure. I'm not sure they've really done anything else worthwhile other than that, because they also did lose their one of the league's best centers in the process.
Right.
So Ravens have a little bit of work ahead of them with a new regime there. So it's hard to point. It's hard to point a real winner and a loser out. I think we have to see what happens in the draft and in the future free agency. Is there anybody that stands out to you in particular?
Well, I mean, if Evans stays healthy, San Francisco is going to step up in my eyes, just because they were just a cut below the other two teams in the NFC West. You've got this obviously stud of receiver. He's at the end of his career, no question. But obviously, they're getting other players here now that we're talking about. So I like what they're doing. They're trying to upgrade. The defensive tackle. They're probably going to address more in the draft on defense to get a little younger. You got to figure they're going to be healthier this year than last year, although they practice next to that power plant, which always screws everybody up apparently, and they get hurt every year. So I like what they did. I think that the other team that's just I think the Giants are making kind of shrewd picks from what I can see. Obviously the likely pick there, but you got Edmonds and the linebacker. They're just trying to fill in the gaps. It's not they're going crazy on money because they have a young team. So, and then the only other thing, it's not like they've had any other signings, but I think Houston getting Braden Smith is a good move for them at tackle, which we know their tackles suck. They ended up shipping out all those other guys and then bringing a better player. And then obviously Montgomery, which we blew up on the text chain a while back. But I think he's an upgrade. We talked about Mixon not being signed. I think that they're just a couple players away on offense to be really good. I expect them to get another wide receiver or another lineman in this draft. So I don't know. I think that some of the teams that were pretty good last year, besides the Giants, they're going to upgrade a little bit, are going to get even better in San Francisco and the Texans.
Yeah, it seems the 49ers' worst enemy is their own health. That's been their problem the last 2 years, let alone last year. Texans, they need a better offensive line. It's that simple. Their offensive line has not been very good the last couple of years. It's held them back.
Exactly. That they
But
protect
they've got some other good pieces, but like you said, they do need a receiver as well. So we'll see where they go there.
I mean, the clear loser in this is probably the Dolphins, I'm assuming, right? Even though Malik Willis, people praise that signing, but now he's got nobody to throw to. It's been a rough off season for them. If you were a Finns fan, what do you got to look forward to besides the nice weather?
Seeing what Malik Willis could do for the future, maybe if he has some decent players around him. Like maybe if you got one okay tight end or receiver, just somebody you can throw to, somebody you can rely on throwing to.
Right.
Maybe that's the one thing that can get fans excited. Because if the running game does their thing, that'll take the pressure off Willis when he does have a reliable target to throw to. So I don't think they'll have anything to look forward to this year, especially with all the dead money they have to eat up and all the drafting they have to do to to start over like they are.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in probably the worst position. I'm surprised they don't have the lowest over/under win total, as opposed to I think you said Arizona.
It's number 2.
Okay,
they're right there.
I think Miami should be the lowest.
Well, last year I was kind of mad because I thought that they would have the lowest win total overall, but somehow they rallied in the middle of the season. They were doing terrible. I was like, okay, here we go, and then they rattled off like 4 straight wins, and it was like, what are you guys doing? Why are you winning?
Yeah.
But this year I don't think they'll be in full tank mode, but at the same time, it's going to be a young team. It's going to be a team that gets a couple of wins just because they're playing hard. And other than that, it's going to be you got to have talent to win in the NFL.
Yeah, this season screams 3-14 to me.
Yeah, right.
Maybe 4 wins if they're lucky.
You heard it here. The under. Sean says the under for the win total. Get it now.
Right, so we'll refer back to this probably sometime next winter, but I'm going to say 3 for now.
Who else do you think is just losing talent or would be considered a loser in the free agency so far?
Probably Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy to say they gotten worse because Like you've already talked about, they compete in the toughest division in the game. They released their longtime starting quarterback. They just fired their head coach. They've got a long rebuilding process ahead of them too, and we really haven't seen them make any noteworthy moves. So they've got a ways to go themselves.
Poor Marvin Harrison. Yeah.
No kidding. I feel bad for the guy.
And actually, the tight end is great, right? I mean, McBride is a hell of a player. So, I mean, I did check it. For now, Brissett is still on the roster, so it's Brissett and Minshew. So, a menacing duo at quarterback there.
Like the mustache that Minshew's got, but I think that's Brissett's team. We'll see where the likes of Cousins or Rodgers go, but maybe they have enough faith in Brissett, and maybe they don't want to make a competitive move just yet. Maybe they want to, stockpile of draft picks next year, earlier
for a better quarterback draft, probably.
Yeah.
Both those teams will probably draft quarterbacks, not this year, but next year. So we'll see how it goes.
So Arizona, Miami, probably the worst team in each conference, the bottom feeders.
That's too bad. Because usually you can go worst to first. I mean, the Steelers have made some sneaky moves. I mean, they had on the positive side, obviously they got Pittman, they got Rico Dowdle. They picked up some guys, Jameel Dean, from Tampa. The biggest thing about that is we talked about Aaron Rodgers. What are you doing? Are you coming back or not? You're kind of holding up the squad.
Well, hopefully for the team's sake and maybe for his, he lets the team know by close to the draft, because then maybe that'll give him a final picture of how they approach the draft and how they approach free agency beyond. But he's got to make up his mind soon. He has maybe a month until the NFL draft starts, so maybe he'll discuss it with his soon-to-be named wife. We don't know
if she shows up somewhere. Okay, I actually think, as we talk about it, not that they're losers per se, but the Bears have lost a lot in this free agency period, especially on defense. And again, they needed to upgrade on defense for sure, but they did not make a splash at all on defense besides this safety signing. And the safety doesn't exactly get me going. I was thinking pass rush, Crosby or Hendrickson or whoever.
Yeah, that's why they thought they'd be the front runners for that guy.
I thought so too. I mean, you're really close. So why wouldn't you just go for it? But clearly they're going to put all their resources in the draft at, upgrading the defense. And that's fine. The problem is they've got to make sure that they're deft and maybe have to move up and down in the draft to get their guys. It's not like there's going to be a ton of guys late or later in the draft this year because they're, winning year. So it'll be kind of interesting. All right. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, let's see if Ryan Poles knows what he's doing. This is going to be quite a test for him as he enters, I believe, his third or fourth year in charge.
Yeah, he's been in charge a couple of years. Because he hired the last guy, didn't he?
Actually, you know what? I think he was hired at the same time as Queasy was, because I think the Vikings were targeting Poles too. Yeah. So that was, I believe, 21 or 22. Either way, this is going to be his toughest task yet, rebuilding a defense that lost so many pieces from a division champ.
Right, exactly. They didn't win because of their defense, but yeah, definitely. All right, just to recap, we covered the trades on Waddle. We covered Murray's move, Justin Fields, the Dallas defensive tackle move, and the free agency. As we cover next week, we'll see what happens with more stuff. We have to throw some stuff in the draft to kind of fill out the hour here, Sean. I don't have photos of myself this time from the beach, so but I'll be at Stadium Swim. We were discussing, and I'll be at Stadium Swim this week for March Madness. Super excited. I've been there 4 or 5 times. It's a great time. It's supposed to be 95 degrees out there. I'm sure it's cold in Minnesota. It's pretty cold in Chicago today. Can't wait to get on that plane and put some shorts on.
No, I bet you're not. Oh, I bet you are. Chicago and Minnesota generally tend to have the same weather at the same time. Yeah, it was about 6-7 degrees here today, and you're going to a Vegas area that not only warm but a beautiful town. And I'm sure you want to see that stadium of theirs while you're out there too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They're building the A Stadium too. There's 2 things going on out there. Oh, waiting for the Chargers to do something. Thanks for chiming in, Justin. They've got the A Stadium going up where the old Tropicana was, and then the Guitar Hotel, the Hard Rock Hotel is getting built. That the big guitar is getting built. So I'll be checking that out this week as well. I can send you guys some photos, so it'll be pretty cool. What do you got going this weekend, Sean?
Off the top of my head, can't really think of anything. Probably I'm gonna be filling in, I believe, for you for a little bit on Thursday when it comes to talking about March Madness, because that's how you plan to start your March Madness.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Con Man, I guess, is going to be on. That's on Primetime College Hoops on Thursday. I'll be stepping up for that one. Con Man's coming back, but please welcome to join. Link up with Kenny. He'll be hosting the show. That's Kenny Casanova. Casanova. We'll talk about the network a little bit. There's a lot of shows going on, Sean. I don't know if you saw this, but Kenny's doing some dating thing now. I don't know if that's on the network or not, to be honest with you, but Kenny's got some stuff. You've got some stuff. We've got college football or college basketball. We've got the NBA shows. So if there's anything you need to watch, you check it out on Prime Coverage Sports Network. Absolutely.
There's so much that everybody can enjoy themselves watching on this network. I've always enjoyed watching everybody else's show. I remember tuning into your Hoops podcast a few weeks ago, talking about teams that may have belonged in or out. For once, I didn't have a problem with the teams that were selected for the bracket. The only complaints I had were for maybe seeding.
Yeah, seeding is always a question mark. I thought St. John's was underseeded. There were a couple ones that it happens, but now they're all in. They got to play. Games are starting tonight, so it's pretty exciting. Tell everybody where we can find you, Sean.
On Facebook, you can find me at Sean.Davich, all lowercase, or on Twitter/X at Sean Davich. Sometimes on Instagram, SJDavich. Not on there a lot, but during my travels, I tend to post there. How about you?
You can follow me at Wegspool on X on Instagram. I'm the host of Side Action Podcast, not on the network. It's a sports gambling show. I'll be doing a live spot not from the pool, but from Vegas on Friday morning after the first day of games. And then you can follow me here on the Lockdown Coverage Podcast, and then the Primetime College Hoops on Thursdays. This week I'll be off. And then follow us in the whole network. We've got PCSN Media on Facebook, Prime Coverage Sports Network. I'm sorry, that's on Facebook, Instagram. And then, PCSN Media is from X. So follow us, like us, subscribe. Make sure you follow everything. We've got stuff every single day, sometimes twice a day. So thanks everybody who came in today. We've got a couple of comments. Thanks for coming in, Justin and Zel. We'll see you next week, Zel. And Tip, miss you, man. I know you're busy, but we miss you, brother. So
yeah, we feel your absence.
Baseball season. Exactly, man. All right, everybody. Well, have a great weekend. Enjoy March Madness. We'll be back with more football on the Lockdown Coverage Podcast next Tuesday.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, hey, drop.
Prime Coverage Sports Network. Real coverage, real conversation.